Everybody, welcome back to my kitchen. It's a rainy day. It's been raining for a week now. So this morning I thought I would throw together some bread. I'm using, most of you have already seen, this is my Grandma Jean's recipe box. Well, this is her sister, my great aunt, Aunt B. That's what I call her. I'm just like Opie on Andy Griffith. I have an Aunt B. Her name is Bernice, and she lived down in Inglewood, Florida. She's kind of the reason that I ended up down in Florida, because I think it was just her and I were the only ones that escaped the Ohio area where all our family's at. And I always loved coming down here on vacation to see her, and just kind of fell in love with Florida, and that's where I always wanted to be because Aunt B was here. So that took me down to Tampa, which was close to Inglewood. Now I'm down in South Florida. But I've been going through her recipes, and I found one for milk bread, and it's real simple. I'm sure you have all the ingredients already. Just takes a cup of milk, an egg, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 3 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of yeast, and a half a stick of butter. So I'm gonna put all that down below in the description and comment section, and it will also be on my website, gregs-kitchen.com, where you can actually print out the recipe if you like. So this has got a few steps to it. This is you don't have to knead this bread at all. You're just going to mix together, like I said. She's got a cup of milk, and it's just, she put sweet milk, which back then that's what they called it, just regular whole milk. And 1 egg. Put that in. Yeah, let me rinse off my hand, got some egg under there. Okay, and into that we're going to put the sugar and the salt. I'm just using a pink Himalayan salt. Those in there, out of the way. And we're just going to bring this together, and we're just mixing it long enough to get the salt and the sugar dissolved. Now I did lay out my eggs and my milk. Everything's been out at room temperature for about an hour. I always do everything at room temperature when I'm doing it, especially when I'm baking with yeast, because you don't want it cold. You want it kind of warm so you don't stun the yeast. All right, I think we've got that all pretty well mixed in. Okay, now we're going to add in the yeast and the flour. Like I said, it's 3 cups of flour. I did not measure them in here. If you look at this, it actually comes out to 2.5 cups of flour, because this is a liquid measuring. There's difference in the measuring cups. These are for liquid, and then the small ones, let me grab one real quick. This is for dry measurement. And when you're measuring the flour, you always, as you dip it out, level it off so you get the exact measurements. Because if you would have used this to measure your flour, you would have had half a cup more flour in there, and that could have made your bread more doughy, more hard. So you always want to make sure you use these for liquid. I just put all that is in here so it was easy for me to show you guys. So I'm gonna put in the flour and the yeast. Now she calls for 2 teaspoons of yeast. I always just use a packet of yeast, which is, actually if you look at the back, it says it's 2 1/4 teaspoons. Yeah, 2 1/4 teaspoons. So I just use this. A little bit extra is not gonna hurt. So if you have the packets, use this. If you have the yeast in a jar, you can measure out 2 teaspoons. We're just gonna put that yeast in, get it all out of there. All right. And I'm gonna bring that together with a wooden spoon, because this whisk will not do it. So we're just gonna bring this all together, make a nice dough ball out of it. Usually I would use my KitchenAid mixer, which is sitting back there, but since it makes so much noise, I decided instead of making all that noise for y'all to listen to, I'll just do it in a bowl. Now it's gonna be a thick batter when it comes together. Try to get all the flour off the sides. And we're gonna put this in the refrigerator and let it sit. You can do it overnight. If you're gonna want to make it in the morning, just do it the night before and stick it in the refrigerator. Or at least, she says 2 hours. I've done it for 90 minutes, so 1.5 to 2 hours. At least that long so it can sit and rest. So let me get this off, and we're not going to use a spoon now. This is where we're going to get our fingers dirty, at least I do. And she calls for a half a stick of butter. Mix this up. Okay. So we're going to put the half a stick of butter in and just bring it together. I just do it with my hands. As you saw, I just washed my hands so they're clean. And this is room temperature butter. We're just going to work that into the batter. I was saying my Aunt B is, I think she was the only relative that moved out of the area. She moved all the way to Florida. She traveled everywhere. I mean, I don't think there was a town anywhere in the United States that she didn't know somebody, a major town. She was on cruises. She had friends everywhere. To get to Ohio, basically from Florida, you just go up I-75. She never did that. She had what I called the Brady Mobile. She had a blue 1970 something station wagon, just like the Brady Bunch had. And she would leave Florida and she would go through California to get to Ohio. So she, instead of taking 2 or 3 days to come up to Ohio, she would take a week or two to get there, because she'd stop at all of her friends on the way and visit, and that was just the way she did. She traveled nonstop. But when I go out to my grandma's on the farm and I'd see that blue station wagon sitting there, that was just too exciting because my Aunt B was there. Okay, so I got this all together, got the butter worked into it, and we're going to cover this with saran wrap, plastic wrap, put it in the refrigerator, let it rest, and I'll be back as soon as they get it out and we'll start the next step. Okay, so I got the bread dough out of the refrigerator. It's been in there about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I'm just gonna take off the plastic. We won't need any more. Just give it a little dusting on top. It shouldn't stick too bad because it's covered in butter, filled with butter. I'm gonna push that down, butter my board here a little bit. Pull this out. Rid of the bowl. Put a little bit more flour on top. And all we're wanting to do is flatten it down into a circle, and we're going to divide this in 12 pieces. My dirty, dirty little floured hands. So first, I just cut it in half. Then cut it in thirds. Cut it in thirds again. There's our 6 pieces. Now each one of those into to make 12. Did I do that right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yes, I did. Okay. Now each one of these, you're just going to make into a ball. Try to pull the seam underneath. Tuck it under. Like that. Make it into a nice little ball. And we're just going to put it right up here on the board. We're going to do each one of these. Just try to get all the seams down underneath so you have a nice smooth top. I definitely did not put these in the same size, but they're all going to be good. You could actually, you don't have to do it in 12. I just like putting them in 12 different ones. Wow, that's a lot smaller. But you can do them, you could actually do this in a loaf pan or just make a few thinner rolls. Just depends on how you'd like them. Okay, so I'm going to cover these. I'm going to let them sit for about 5 minutes and then we'll be back. Okay, so we're back. I actually let these sit. I reread Ambi's recipe. It's set 10, so let's let them sit covered for 10 minutes. So next what we're going to do is just take them out and flatten them. I'll get my pan over here. I've already greased this. Just gonna flatten these out a little bit and just roll them up. We're gonna put them right in there. Just make little logs that you roll up. It's like you would bread with the dough. And put the seam side down. I'm going to cheat and I'm going to take a little bit of dough off these bigger ones, put it on the smaller ones, so flatten them down, they just stick or go to a little bit same size. All right. So I'm gonna cover these up, let them sit for about 30 minutes and double in size, and then we'll be back. Okay, we're back. It's been 30 minutes and they have doubled in size. They've kind of spread out because I put it in a larger pan instead of puffing up, but they will puff up in the oven. Now in here I have 1 egg and 2 teaspoons, maybe a tablespoon of milk. As she can't be right, sweet milk. And I'm just gonna coat the tops of these with that so they brown up nice and golden. Like I said, we're gonna put them in a 350 degree oven. I've got it already preheated. They're gonna bake 20 to 25 minutes. When they come out, I'm gonna baste them again, but this time with butter, maybe some garlic. You can put anything on there you want. You don't have to put anything on there. I just like the extra butter and garlic powder and maybe some salt. So there we go. All ready to go in the oven, and we'll be back in about 20 minutes. Okay, it's been 25 minutes. I checked them at 20. They did not look done yet. So I gave it another 5 minutes. So it's been 25 minutes. Now they're nice and golden. Whew. Here we go. And like I said, I'm going to just coat these with a little bit of butter. Just to give them a little bit more flavor. Butter never hurt anything. And while they're still wet with butter, damp, I'm just gonna sprinkle a little salt on them. Okay, so there are Aunt Bee's milk bread muffins, rolls, I'm not sure. She just calls it milk bread, but they're little dinner rolls. So give them a try. I'll put the link down to my website where you can print out the entire recipe and all the ingredients down below in the descriptions. I appreciate you guys coming over to my channel and watching. Don't forget to give it a like and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.